Good morning, everyone. My plan here is to make a short podcast on how to make a bar chart with error bars using Microsoft Excel, using the latest version of Microsoft Excel. You'll find that between scenes, it's going to kind of falter a little bit. It's going to stop and start because I have to keep on practicing things to remind me how I've done things in the past. So I need to practice, go back, and then film it. I'll be open about that right now. So I'm quite confident about the first bit. The first bit's actually quite easy. What I've done here is some data. I've just made up this data to suit my needs. But what we have, we're comparing the mass of apples in grams. These are called uncertainties just here. So plus or minus 0.1 of a gram. So our electric balance weighs things to an accuracy of 1/10 of a gram. And I'm comparing the apples that grow wild, going up towards the hills, towards the ski resort in Almaty, to those that are selectively bred, a particular variety of apple called French Golden Delicious. So the GD, being a little bit lazy, actually stands for Golden Delicious. So I've made sure I've got enough data. Usually you want at least 30 pieces of data. I've done 30 plus 1 here, got 31 pieces of data. So that is plenty really to do a standard deviation and to make this test, so to speak, viable and worthwhile. So the first thing is to work out the means. You probably know how to do this. So I'm going to click on the cell, I'm going to put my answer, and I'm going to press on the sum symbol up here, and I'm going to click on average. It's automatically, I think, chosen all the right cells, but I'm going to check. So I can just press enter, it gives me the average. I don't need to repeat that again. I can just take the cell, drag it across, and it will work out the average for the others. Now, on the face of it, it appears that French Golden Delicious have a higher mass than the Almaty apples. However, is that a valid conclusion? Is it statistically significant between the two? We really don't know, and we're not really going to go quite so far as to actually determine that, but we can get some sort of indication as to what this actually means and how valid any conclusion would be. So next bit is the standard deviation using the same data. I choose the cell just there as before, and I need to go to more functions because standard deviation doesn't appear just there. In my case, it is at the top of the list because I've been using it quite a lot recently. You'll probably have to look down onto the alphabetical list. But for me, it was up at the top anyway. So I click OK. I then select all my data for the Almaty apples, all 31 pieces of data, being careful not to include the mean at the bottom. Select it, click OK. And there we are, we have a standard deviation of 6.1 grams. That means that 68% of the apples fall within 6.1 grams of the mean just there. Again, I don't need to repeat that. I can just drag it across just there. And we notice we have a larger spread in results for the French Golden Delicious. The standard deviation is higher. So the next stage is to actually plot a graph. And first of all, we need to collect our data. So our independent variable is the place where the apples came from. So Almaty and France, effectively. And of course, our dependent variable will be the means down here. I do not collect any, or do not select any of the data. So to select this, I press Control. Otherwise, I will stop selecting the places at the top and drag it across. We then need to choose the type of graph. We're just going to do a simple bar chart. I'm not going to do any fancy 3D ones or anything like that. Science is all about presenting information as simply as possible, not for it to look fancy. So 2D column just there, and what we have there, very, very quickly. It's a very, very simple, basic graph showing the different masses. You may or may not instantly spot an issue with this. Okay, we think that Excel's smart, but they've made a fundamental mistake just here that no scientist probably would ever do. And of course, that is the vertical axes just here. Unless you compress your axes, which you're not likely to do on a bar chart, then your axes should start at 0. So I'm going to see if I can remember how to do that. I'm going to double click on there, or format axes. That's good. Over on the right, we've got the minimum and the maximum. Happy to keep the maximum as it is. That will probably change later on, however, but for the moment, the minimum going to be placed at 76.0 by 0. And then hopefully, if we just press enter, that's a little bit better. Now, as you can see, although the French Golden Delicious has a higher mass, the difference is not really very great, especially when we factor in the fact that there's variability or variation within both groups. Go back to screen share if you really want to do that. So next thing is to see if we can add the error bars. So I'm going to choose the 2 bars, that one, and the other one instantly becomes selected as well. Up here we've got a plus sign, and it may not appear straight away, but we get a list of options just here. And obviously what we want is the error bars. As you choose the different types of error bars, it will do it for standard error, percentage, standard deviation. Now if you look at standard deviation just here, there's a bit of a problem in that the 2 error bars are actually exactly the same size. I've deliberately made it over on the left so that the standard deviation different values, so we can see if we've actually created the correct error bars. So if it doesn't work for standard deviation, what that's doing is standard deviation, I think, for these 2 values only. We need to go into more options, and if we page down, we're going to custom and specify the value. We can do that because we have our values over on the left just here. So if we right click on here, we can actually format the error bars just there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bottom just here. We're going to use custom, as we've got already just there. And we're going to specify the values. So the positive error and the negative error, because the error bars go up above and below, we usually show the error bars in both directions. So I'm then going to select the 2 values just there. Then go over here, and I'm not quite sure what has the one in brackets, but it seems to work better. I take that away and then select the same 2 standard deviation values again, and then of course click OK. Okay, what you should see there is 2 things happen. One, they've increased the length of the axes just here, so it fits in nicely. And the second thing is, of course, is that we have 2 error bars, they have different sizes. And I'm convinced these are correct because the one for the French Golden Delicious is clearly shows us larger standard deviation than it does for the Almaty apples. So everything, in fact, looks right. We've essentially got our graph here. What we're just doing at this point is going to try and improve the overall presentation. Okay, that's okay, but we can make it better. First of all, the things that certainly aren't quite perfect just here And that includes the fact we haven't really labeled our axes, and obviously we need to enter a title into here. So what I'm going to do first of all is just try and improve the layout slightly. So I'm going to quick layout on the top left, and we have a number of different options. All the images are very, very small, but by just raising my cursor over, I can get different options. Not sure if I like that one, not really. That gives us an opportunity to label axes. I don't like the fact the bars are touching though, that's not quite right. Oh, that one seems a lot better. I'm not sure if I need the series one bit, but I can always remove that afterwards. That's an option. I seem to have lost my error bars in the process for some reason, but perhaps they will come back. No place for a title. Can't label left axes. That's quite interesting, but I'm not going for that. Yeah, I quite like to have a label at the bottom. That one's, yeah, okay. Right, I'm going back to one of the others, and then I can take it from there. I'm going to take that one, and I'm hoping that the error bars are going to reappear, so I don't have to come back in again. Let's just check that one. No, I want to place the title. This one. No. Yeah, I'm going for that one. Just there. And as we can see, my error bars have disappeared. Isn't that wonderful? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them back in again. Hopefully I'm getting better and quicker at this. I'm going to error bars, going for more options. Remember, we are then going to right click, format error bars, getting better at this, getting quicker. Do the custom, specify the values. The first one, the positives, put that. For this one, move that little bit, and then select the same two cells again, click OK, and they're back. Okay, so we're sort of sorted just there. Let's add a title. Comparison of apple mass for wild Almaty apples and French golden delicious. Okay, that fits on there. Okay, I don't need this bit over there, so I'm just going to delete that, and it moves things across a little bit. Axis title, place, or place of origin, maybe. Over here, got mass. I need to put in my uncertainties just here. So I need to insert a symbol. With me, it's going to be at the beginning because I use it a lot. For you, I'm afraid you're going to have to go and search for it. So insert, close, plus or minus 0.1 grams. Didn't quite get the point just there. I did it the Russian way. That's better. So that's improved it a little bit as well. The next bit I don't like really is the fact you don't actually see the lines for the axes just here. So I can add a border. I'm going to do it as a solid line. I don't like default blue, but I've used grey last time, so it's remembered that. So then if I just click somewhere else, it appears. So I prefer that slightly. Next thing is that I want to sort out the minor grid lines, and I'll tell you why in a moment. No, maybe I'll tell you why now. The reason why is it's actually difficult comparing them across here, because the grid lines are simply too far apart. If we add minor grid lines like that, it's easier to read it across. So for example, if we look at this one, is it outside of the error bars just here? Well, I would say it's pretty much, as far as you can tell visually, bang on with the top of the error bar just there. Okay, so it means you can analyze it a bit more carefully. Anything else I want to do on here? Well, we could make the two things different colors. So I just selected the left one. We can change the fill. Apples are green, so I'm going to colour it in green. The other advantage of this is that you can actually see the error bar more clearly now. Okay, we can also make the error bar bolder. I'll worry about that afterwards. Select this one, change the fill. I'll make it maybe a slightly lighter shade of green for comparison. And it's all beginning to take shape. I will select the error bars and see if I can then change the outline with the weight, make it 2 1/4, 1 1/2, maybe 1 1/2. Does that make it a little bit clearer? Possibly it does. I'm fairly pleased with that now. I would be quite happy about copying and pasting that and putting it into a piece of coursework. There is one thing I don't like about it too much, and it's a minor thing, is I don't particularly like this space between the bars. Now there is a way of fixing that. I'm going to see if I can go and find out what it is, and then I'll come back to you in just a moment. I'm trying to stop recording up here. Pause it, I should say. Okay, it took me a few minutes to actually sort this out, although I've done it before. So if I select the 2 columns just here, and then on the right, I click what looks like a bar chart, the series options over on the right just here, I can change gap width, okay? I think it's rather high at the moment. So if I move this to the left, what happens then? There you are, they get wider. Might even make them a little bit wider still. If I think my graph's a bit wide, I can always just drag it across like that. And I'll settle for that. Okay, hope that's been helpful. I hope you can repeat some of those stages and end up with something that looks like this. Maybe you can improve on this with the data that you are given. Thank you. Bye.